Not long. There we go. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you guys for coming here today to our investment meeting here live on YouTube. We're going to be giving a 5-minute delay to let everybody filter into the room. So we're going to show a 5-minute countdown, and we're going to be starting after that 5-minute delay. Again, thank you guys for being here on time. We will be starting shortly. There we go. So thank you all for being here today. We're going to hop right into it. So going over the agenda itself, we will be first going over team intros. Then we're going to be breaking down the actual raise itself. There we go. So thank you all for breaking down the actual raise itself. Our Chief Connection Officer, Dr. Darius Brooks, is going to talk about why we actually created the company itself. We're going to go through our 5-minute pitch, a quick Q&A section, and then also view the live demo of our new application, and then the final call to action, which is the actual investment page. So without further ado, ladies first, going to go ahead and pass it off to our wonderful VP, Antoinette Anderson.
Hello, everyone. So as Jonathan mentioned, my name is Antoinette Anderson. I am the VP here at HBCU HUB. A little bit about my background and my experience. I had about 7.5 years of experience in education, specifically in undergrad admissions. So I worked for both the Cal State and the UC system, going around recruiting students from multiple different schools, working on a lot of different personal projects, and that included a lot of like diversity, equity, and inclusion, making sure that our students of color felt like they had a space on campus, and making sure that they felt welcomed on the admissions end as well. And then I also had a podcast called Admitting It. And so that was on college and career readiness, just to really help our students of color understand what they need in order to get into college, but also what they need to start their careers as well. So I've had a really fun background in education. It's something I'm very passionate about. And then kind of what I do at HBCU HUB is I really help us leverage those partnerships with those different high schools, especially our California high schools. That's my specialty, is helping us really get out there and get known. Because one thing that Jonathan and I know all too well, because we're both from California, is that California students don't know as much about HBCUs. And so we really want to make sure that they have that educational piece, and that they can consider historically Black colleges and universities when they're applying to college. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to my next partner, and I'm just going to pass to the next person I see on screen, which is Cameron, excuse me. You're muted, Cam.
Good evening. Sorry about that. I am Cameron McLaughlin, Director of Community Engagement at HBCU HUB. I am a graduate of Grambling State University, which afforded me an opportunity many other schools, people didn't, and I'm very appreciative of that. And that's why I'm here, to help the youth get connected with this application and get connected with HBCUs, because I was afforded that opportunity. Next person I see is Keith.
Good day to everyone. I am Keith Shannon on the HBCU HUB team, and I work with institutional advancement, work with corporate connections also. And my background is I spent my latter years in the United States Army as an Army recruiter. And I matriculated at Florida A&M University for my undergrad degree. I am passionate about HBCU HUB because I see this organization reaching into the community and finding first-time in college students, finding families that are sending students to college to be the first college grad in their household. And so I see us helping in social and upward mobility in our community. I met Jonathan, the proprietor of HBCU HUB, right about 4 years ago, and was very impressed when there was about 1,200 students inside this ingenious app. And now we have over 12,000 students in the app, and we have students that have gone to college. We have parents and business organizations that have linked in with the power of this app. And so I come this evening for this discussion for our potential investors to let folks know that HBCU HUB is on the rise, and it is something that our community needs. And I believe that we will have an impact for many years to come within our community. And I now turn over the mic to Dr. Brooks.
Sorry about that. Good evening. I'm Dr. Brooks, graduate of the Tennessee State University. My professional background is in college and career exploration and preparation, primarily dealing with low income, first generation, and students with disabilities. I serve as Chief Connection Officer for HBCU HUB. My primary role is to get in the trenches and dig out those partnerships that will afford us opportunities to get in, talk to the youth, get them on an app. Also, those hard to reach alumni from these illustrious organizations, from these illustrious universities, just spreading the word about HBCU HUB and trying to get as many students on the app as possible and create as many partnerships as possible via the app. And so that's my role and a little bit of my background. And I will now pass the mic to Jeffrey.
Hi, my name is Jeffrey Weaffey. Sorry about my camera, by the way, but I'm an A&T graduate. What I do for HBCU HUB is a little bit of the content management as well as the user experience design, user research. So looking into how the users are affected by the app, what they use the app for. A thing I really like about HBCU HUB is I think it's pretty essential infrastructure, especially with things going digital these days, to the actual application process. It makes it a little bit easier and gives access to students who wouldn't otherwise have access or be aware of certain HBCUs who are that are around the country as well. So I'm really excited to be a part of this team, and I'm really excited to see what type of future lies ahead for HBCU HUB as well.
Thank you for that, Jeff. And bit little side note about Jeff and Allure Social. So they handle our branding and, as Jeff mentioned, our content management. So anytime you guys see those nice posts on Instagram, that is coming from Jeff and Allure Social. Diving right into it. So we are going to be going over the actual pitch deck, but first we're going to talk about what this meeting is actually about. And this meeting is about addressing our raise that we are going into. So this is an investment, not a donation. Everybody investing into the organization will actually have a piece of ownership, and we're raising $250,000 to focus on 3 key areas, which we're going to discuss later on, but that includes sales, product development, and also PR. Those are our primary focuses right now. And again, want to make it clear that this is an actual investment. This is not a donation. We're doing it through a seat at the table, and that link will be shared with you all later on today.
Thanks so much, Jonathan. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic over to Dr. Brooks, and he's going to go ahead and tell us why HBCUs and why we started this company.
Great, thank you, Antoinette. So we always get the question, why HBCUs? We could have did this with any other genre of schools, but why HBCUs? Well, this question is kind of twofold. It started off as the brainchild of a pitch competition at Grambling State University. And I came on because I was, in the midst of trying to create a similar app, but I was always taught, do the research and hope that you're not trying to reinvent the wheel. And so I came across HBCU HUB and Jonathan. I reached out. We talked for about a week straight, and we were just passing ideas. And he was like, man, you know what? We would love to have you. With your expertise, your background, we would love to have you. So getting into why HBCUs, as I stated, it's kind of twofold. During my time as an admissions counselor and recruiter at Tennessee State University, I saw that there was a huge problem with awareness around HBCUs. When I would travel to the West Coast and regions on the East Coast, such as like New Hampshire, Maine, there were a lot of Black and brown students that had never heard of HBCUs. And either they had never heard of HBCUs or they knew what we like to call the big 3, Spelman, Morehouse, and Howard. Everyone knows Spelman, Morehouse, and Howard, due to the philanthropy efforts of, most of the celebrities, that's who when they want to give back, that's who they give back to. So they either had heard of the big three or hadn't heard of HBCUs at all. And I felt that that was a huge problem. And as alums of HBCUs, we felt that it was kind of our duties to get out and spread the word about HBCUs and all the great things that they were doing, because they basically gave us our start in what we call life. And so I felt that it was a huge problem that there was a whole coast and region of people that didn't know about HBCUs. So when we talk about closing the education gap, how can we ever do that when there's a region of students that have no clue that HBCUs exist? And so it was always taught that, the best business is solve problems. And keeping on along those lines, HBCU Hub was created to solve that problem. And the second part of that is, I know everyone's the question, why HBCUs? We have to take care of home first. We definitely plan to, jump into the arenas of those Hispanic serving institutions and those minority serving institutions, but we have to take care of home first before we can venture out and try to, take over other markets. You always have to take care of home first. So when you talk about why HBCUs, those are two things. We saw a problem that we're addressing around the awareness of HBCUs, and we have to take care of home first. So those two things are why we chose HBCUs to start out with. Thank you. Jonathan, you want to pick it up?
Yes, thank you for that, Doc. So with this portion of the meeting, we're actually going to be hopping into a short pitch. It's going to be a 5-minute pitch. And then from there, we're going to open the floor up to any questions or concerns that you all may have. Good afternoon. My name is Jonathan Swindell, CEO of the HBCU HUB App. We are the world's first app that connects students to admissions recruiters at HBCUs all across the country. As we go through today's presentation today, I want you to keep Marcus in mind. Marcus represents one of over 600 million current high school students in the world today. And all of them face the similar problem, that being the lack of centralized information on HBCUs. See, there's a plethora of knowledge on your Yales, Stanfords, and UCLAs, but where do you go to get high quality information about Bowie State in Maryland, or contact the band director at Talladega College in Alabama? As we continue down this path, we saw an overall lack of data management within the Black and Brown community. This seemed to be a big reason for those within our demographic to not have access to opportunity. And without the proper tracking of academic progress, opportunity itself did not have access to those within our demographic. Our app is the blanket solution to this problem, and it's completely free, as our mission is to build technology that closes the opportunity gap. We have created the world's first ever and only HBCU matchmaker, and features such as that has led to our app being used in over 80 countries around the world, which ultimately led to us being ranked the number 92 educational app in the world. And to kind of give that perspective, that's number 92 of over 75,000 educational apps in the world today. As we started out along this journey, we monetized our most simple asset, our data. We sold it raw, but along the way, we saw the importance of global data collection, which ultimately led to us creating our software and hardware packaged offerings. Since 2018, we've closed a bit over $100,000 in sales. And along the way, we've realized that market share among HBCUs is vital as it drives more traffic to our app. That's because more schools have access to our data. And that's where the expansion is being made. Who has access to our data? It has to be more than a subset of 107 schools. Well, statistics show that 40% of students have either a full-time or a part-time job. So moving forward, we'll be going after the market of digital ad space for our corporate clients. But more importantly, we'll be going after the $151 billion market of corporate staffing and recruitment with the focus on job readiness. Having now connected our students to schools and beyond gives us the ability to truly understand the decision-making process of our demographic, a demographic whose behavioral trends are highly sought after amongst many industries all across the world, such as retail, armed forces, and even the political arena. What puts us in position to do so is our approach with the student that we take. At the mark of adolescence, we have collected the student's academic, geographic, behavioral, and in some cases, even economic information as well. We double down on this approach as we go on to collect the students' social media and contact information, ensuring that not only insight, but also connection can be made amongst this demographic. We are led by a team that has over 40 years of experience within the higher education field. Almost every single member on our staff has served within an administrative role at a college or university, and we're led by a technical founder, myself, a former application development specialist at IBM. We are advised by the director of admissions at a prominent HBCU, long-term members of IBM's data analysis team, and even account executives at Microsoft to best understand how our technology looks within the corporate world. Closing the opportunity gap for students such as Marcus goes beyond HBCUs because corporate America has opportunities to offer. Armed forces have opportunities to offer, and the list goes on as the value of our data is not bound to just one industry. Having now understood the true value that our company holds, we're going through our first ever fundraising round, where we'll be raising $250,000 to focus on these three key areas. First, formalizing our sales team, both corporate and educational. Second, rebuilding our app within Swift, as this will increase data collection, improve data security, and implement the tracking methods needed to sell to our corporate clients. And lastly, to ensure that we grasp the global opportunity that's in front of us, we'll be pouring heavy resources into the expansion of our PR team. Thank you all for taking the time out to view our presentation today. From here, we'll be opening up for Q&A. So in regards to Q&A, anybody that has questions or comments about what they just saw with the pitch deck, or if they would like to see a particular page, you can leave a comment within the chat and we'll respond there. Keep me up to date on the questions, Gare. So if we don't have any questions at the moment, we're gonna hop into the live version of our demo, and from there, open it up from Q&A as well. So the next thing that we're actually going to be discussing to keep everybody on the same page of the progress that HBCU Hub is going through, we are actually releasing the new version of our application May 10th, 2022, and it's going to allow students to FaceTime admissions recruiters, corporate recruiters, band directors, really taking the level of engagement with HBCU staff to a whole new level.
We got a question from YouTube asking, what makes your company unique?
So something that sets us apart from any competitor is first that our application is completely free, as our mission is to build technology that closes the opportunity gap Also, we have a few features that are world's first. That being, we are the only app with an HBCU matchmaker, and we are also going to be the only application that allows you to FaceTime admissions recruiters at HBCUs all across the country. Thank you for that question. And as we go through the presentation, let me know if I have to stop for any more questions. Do we have any more questions in the chat?
Oh. We're good.
You're on mute, Jonathan.
Thank you for that, Antoinette. So here, what we're looking at right now is the new version of the application that's going to be released May 10th, 2022. And I want everybody to keep in mind that this is the clickable prototype, but we do want our investors and our users to know what we have moving forward. So one of the biggest changes is that right now, the application allows for students, parents, and transfer students to create a profile. One of the biggest changes that's coming May 10th is actual recruiters themselves creating a profile, as well as coaches too. So we'll be going through the student side of the application first. And keep in mind, this is the clickable prototype, so all these pictures are not going to be the same. But we're going to break the application down from top to bottom, and this is what we'll be releasing on May 10th. So here is the yard. As you all have possibly been to an HBCU, you know what the yard is all about. And this is a central place for students, coaches, and recruiters to all interact and engage with each other in an informal manner. And we see right here, what's a good HBCU for psychology? What are their requirements? Those questions will be asked by students all across the country. And this is a place where coaches and recruiters can actually address them. At the top, we have groups, and this is where companies such as IBM, T-Mobile, the Steve Harvey Foundation are going to have their own group and central location on the application to speak directly to our demographic and those that they have opportunities to offer. Going back, hopping right into it. So being true to form, the application still allows students to contact admissions recruiters, but we're taking it a bit further with the new version of our app. Students will now be able to contact different types of recruiters. So still admissions recruiters, but they will be able to contact band recruiters if they want to have a live band interview, corporate recruiters, ROTC recruiters, and even grad school recruiters as well. And you still have the functionality to select the HBCU that you're looking to contact.
All right, we have some questions here on YouTube. One question is, how can people invest, and what is their investment?
Let's address that right after this, right after the short demo. That's cool with you?
We're good.
Okay. So here is the list of recruiters, and this is a mock list. Students have the ability to select that recruiter's name still, but now they can send them a quick live message directly from the application. Hey, Mr. Stewart, I'm interested in attending Grambling State University. What do I need to get in? From there, a student actually has the ability to schedule a call with that recruiter based upon their office hours. Once that call is successfully scheduled, you are now, as a student, on FaceTime with an admissions recruiter that's completely across the country, allowing you to connect with HBCU staff no matter where you're located. You do have the ability to review the call that you had. So if you had a good experience, you can give us feedback on that. And if you see there's areas of opportunity where we can improve, you can also give us feedback on that as well. And being true to form, students do still have the ability to contact, to research different HBCUs. That information is all still there. And lastly, the functionality that you had with recruiters of being able to FaceTime them, students have that same functionality with coaches as well. And something I do want to mention, we did add a few more sports. The current version of our application only allows for women's basketball, men's basketball, football, and track, but we have added women's volleyball, softball, baseball, and within the 90 days of the release of the application, we'll be adding soccer as a sport as well. And as we wrap it up from the student side, so students are able to keep track of the conversations that they're having, both with coaches and recruiters. And they do have a calendar that allows them to that shows them the upcoming meetings that they had and also the completed meetings that they had as well. And lastly, as we wrap everything up, so students can now actually update their profile from within the application themselves. And being true to form, we are HBCU Hub, and our primary goal is to connect students to HBCUs. That being said, our HBCU Matchmaker is still available on the application for students all across the world to use and figure out what are the best fit HBCUs for them. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and open the floor up for questions. And Cam, you could go ahead and start letting me know those questions.
Yes, my bad about the interrupting the presentation. We have a few questions regarding the investment and the return of investment and the profit. People are investing money. They want to know how their money is going to be used and what type of return are they getting for investing their money. Understood.
So in regards to how to invest, Cam, can you go ahead and put the link inside the campaign link inside the YouTube chat? So how everybody is going to be able to invest is via the website Seed at the Table. We're including the link inside the chat right now. And from there, you can go ahead and make your investment. In regards to profit, scalability, this year, we are projecting around $400,000 in sales with the new release of the new version of our application. Since 2018, we've closed $102,000 in data management sales. So that's the revenue model of HBCU Hub. We create a platform for students to connect with admissions recruiters, and then we charge those admissions recruiters to connect with the students.
Jonathan, can you dive a little bit into what that investment gets the potential investor with the 10% equity stake, the safe note, like, because a lot of people may not understand, like they ask a broad question, but they may not understand what that really entails. So to kind of keep those questions to a minimum, because I know they'll probably come, we'll just jump into what that means for their investment.
Understood. So everybody that is investing into what's called a safe note. And that is an acronym for Simple Agreement for Future Equity. So everybody that invests into the organization is actually going to get legal paperwork mailed to them on behalf of the organization that they're going to, that we're going to have signed, and then that they're also going to have signed as well. In talking about stock options. So everybody that is investing into our Safe Note is going to get a 25% discount on their stock options. So that's something that we do want to make clear to everybody. You're actually going to get a discount as we continue to move forward with our next raise, which will be for in the future.
Great, thanks for that explanation.
We have a YouTube question asking, how is the data protected?
That's a really good question. So we take our data protection very, very serious. And internally, we have an internal system called our Hub interface that protects our user data right now. As we're expanding the application itself, it's some safeguards that we're putting in place. Part of the money that we're earning from this raise is going to improve data security, but also some of those safeguards are, for instance, if a recruiter signs up on the application and they don't have a HBCU domain, so if they're not from @Claflin.edu or @Grambling.edu, they actually have to go through a manual approval process by our team. So the only people that gain access to our student information are verified staff members of HBCUs and nobody more.
It's almost how Facebook started out. You had to have an .edu to create a Facebook account. And that was like the safest safeguard when it came to ensuring that the people that were on the app were college students, because that's who it was intended for. We know that it has grown since then, but when Facebook first started out, you could not get on Facebook if you weren't a college student. And so that's kind of how this is. You cannot access our data if you don't have that .edu behind your email address.
Mm-hmm. Cam, do we have more questions?
Yes, we have one more question asking about the fee for the student. The application is free. Are there any additional fees that a student will take on when signing in for this application?
That's a great question. So the app is completely free to incoming students, and that's because our mission is to build technology that closes the opportunity gap. So there's no point in the process for a student that they incur a fee for using the application. That's something that our team was very big on because we wanted to actually fight against application fees. Being former students ourselves, every turn at the academic journey, a student is being asked to give $20, $50, $500. So how can we actually help these students without hindering them? How can we not create further barriers of entry when getting into higher education institutions? And in this case, specifically HBCUs. So there is no cost whatsoever to students. HBCU Hub earns our revenue through the data management services that we sell to HBCUs themselves. So students come here to actually connect with admissions recruiters, and then admissions recruiters pay us to connect with those students.
And I just want to keep us all on time. We have about 5 minutes left. So please, if you have any more last minute questions, we would love to get those answered.
One last question. Where do you see yourselves 3 years from now?
That's so in regards to where we see ourselves 3 years from now, we will be more embedded within corporations. And that's something that was mentioned within our pitch deck. 40% of full-time students have either a part-time or a full-time job. So moving forward, we will be honing in on the market of digital ad space for our corporate clients, but more specifically, we'll be going after the $151 billion market of corporate staffing and recruitment with a big focus on job readiness. Beyond that, having now connected our students to schools and beyond gives us the deeper understanding of the decision-making process of our demographic, a demographic whose behavioral trends are highly sought after amongst many industries. So ultimately, we will continue to monetize further opportunities that are offered to our demographic.
Do we have time for another question?
Yes.
All right. Someone in the YouTube chat is wondering how, besides investments, can they get involved with HBCU Hub?
Oh, we appreciate that. So it doesn't always have to be a monetary investment. Really, part of it is telling your nieces, your nephews, your sons or your daughters about the application itself. It's completely free, and we are here to help students into college. So just spreading awareness about the app will do us a huge favor.
And inviting us into your network. If you have anyone that could potentially help us spread the word, bring awareness around HBCUs and get more students on the app, we welcome it. Relationships really rule the world. So we welcome those relationships. Bring us into your network.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Any last questions, Cameron?
No, that is all. I am dropping our email address into the YouTube chat right now.
Awesome. So I just want to give one last closing question to Jonathan. I want to say thank you, everyone, so much for coming out and listening to us this evening. I know you all have very busy schedules, so we really appreciate you just giving up a piece of your time. I guess my one last question, in maybe a few short words, Jonathan, why should they invest in HBCU Hub?
The golden question of it all. Yes. Investing into HBCU Hub is more than an investment into HBCU Hub. It is actually an investment to the HBCU community as a whole. It is an investment to each coming generation, ensuring that they don't face the same barriers to entry that were systematically put in place to keep us out of opportunities that further our lives. So that's really why you should invest into HBCU Hub, because it's more than just the organization, but rather investing into the success of each coming generation.
Thank you so much. We are dropping that investment link in the chat one more time, so that way you all can have it. And we are looking forward to some partnerships with you all in the future.
Thank you, everybody, for the time today. We will be in contact with everyone and sending out that investment link one more last time, and just following up as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're not live no more.